starts making some body movements and people are applauding. And at the end of 4 years, all that you see are those body movements and all the applauses. Will Nigeria have changed? No. Nigeria will not change. But he is painstakingly building a new foundation for Nigeria. When you build a superstructure on that foundation, it will be enduring. But if you watch him, I begin to build on a weak, on a decrepit foundation, one day the entire edifice will come crashing. So, we have trusted this man. We have given him that mandate. Let him exercise that mandate. That is what.
Okay, you have some people who are speaking here. And let me pull up one of them. Ocho says, 24 months to kill bin Laden. In that period, there was no single attack in the U.S. As we plan here, folks are dying up north. And then somebody else, I can't remember his name.
So then shouldn't we plan? Is that what he's saying?
No, what he's saying is...
fail to plan.
Yes.
Okay, talking about plan. Before you read...
and then I'm here to unfold the details of that plan.
No, you're going to give us...
Part of that article, part of the article that the president actually published in the New York Times also said... like the solution lies in Nigeria. You know, he talked about, now I'm paraphrasing, I can actually go, because I have it here. And he said the solution is not, does not lie with our neighbors. It lies within us. And now we see that we are open once again to partnership with our neighbors for security. Yeah. Why, you know, why this sudden change of mind? Is this partnership going to be viable? Especially because as a military person, he said, the solution is with us. We don't need our neighbors. Now, we need our neighbors. What's going on here?
Now, that article you are quoted from, I remember the article, but that is exact aspect.
While you're answering.
Okay. Now, there is also a saying that when a handshake goes beyond the elbow, it has turned to wrestling. It's no longer an handshake. That is the situation we are in Nigeria. Defeating Boko Haram only may be difficult. Why? You see them striking in Nigeria and running into Chad. You see them striking in Nigeria and running into Niger. You see them striking in Nigeria and running into Cameroon. What then do? You collaborate with those countries. And if I can then talk about the plan, the first 2 weeks of the president in office were actually devoted to laying a framework for battling insurgency. You remember his first 2 trips abroad. One was to Niger, the other was to Chad to meet with their presidents. And then he went to G7. Why did he go to G7? Because they invited him. They said, come and tell us how we can help you to solve some of Nigerian problems, particularly insurgency. So he went there, met with the leaders of G7. And then when he came back, there was a summit called Summit of Lake Chad Basin Commission. The president of Niger came, president of Chad came, president of Benin Republic voluntarily came, though he's not part of the Lake Chad Basin Commission, and the Cameroonian president was represented by his defense minister. And what were they planning? How to move jointly against insurgency. What were some of the outcomes of that meeting? One, there is a command, a multinational task force has been put together. A Nigerian general is commanding. The base is in Chad, in N'Djamena. They are building infrastructure now, putting troops together, getting armaments. And this July, that force will go into action. Now tell me, by the time there is that simultaneous move of these countries, when Boko Haram strikes in one country, will it run to another country? That's what has been put together. It will go into action very soon. I tell you that we have elected this man and entrusted this responsibility onto him. Let us trust him to do it. Let's trust him to do it. And he will get the job done.
Okay. In getting the job done, what went wrong? This is Bundos. The increase of terror in the country in the wake of the present administration. He's asking what went wrong.
What went wrong is that, you know, they say before dawn, that is when the darkness is thickest. I believe that Boko Haram is in its last days and it knows. That's why it's coming with a vengeance. It's coming with a vengeance. But eventually, when the back of this insurgency is broken, we will be rid of them.
Mr. Dutola raised some issues that we think you should respond to. He talked about fuel scarcity, and he also talked about the National Assembly going back and forth and the president not saying anything because, as he says, he doesn't want to interfere in legislative issues that will affect him.
Well, that's as far as he knows. But let me tell you what the position is. At the beginning, Mr. President said, with respect to separation of powers, he said anybody that the two chambers elect, he would be willing to work with them. But Mr. President forgot that not everybody will be decent, not everybody will be honorable in playing politics. He felt since the party started a process, everybody was going to respect and obey that process. It didn't happen. So people short-circuited the process, they circumvented it and emerged. Okay. Now when they emerged, what was the first statement that Mr. President issued? He said he would have preferred that the process that the party started be concluded. But now that it's been short-circuited, he recognizes that a constitutional process has somewhat been concluded. In other words, he knows that leadership has emerged for the two assemblies of the National Assembly. Now there is a crisis, a sort of logjam. The party has been trying to unravel it, to settle the matter, and Mr. President has been actively involved. Actively. He may say what he has said.
Actively, but not...
He's a party member. He's a party member. Friday last week, the party held its neck, National Executive Committee meeting. I was there. I know what Mr. President said. When the cameras had left, he would not know. So he can sit here and postulate and pontificate that Mr. President is not doing anything. But we know that Mr. President is doing a lot to resolve that issue.
But as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and the President of Nigeria and the President of the Nigerian people, is it all right, you know, for things to be so quiet and, you know, everybody is wondering in a state, everybody is in a state of wonderment and what's going on? You know, nothing is being said. For instance, you know, the issue of the cabinet, you know, yes, it's just 6 weeks into my administration. Should that be the order of the day? When the cameras go away, Nigeria, don't you think Nigeria needs some encouragement?
Oh, yes, there are some things that you say, frankly, in private. There are some things that are meant for public consumption. Even after those private meetings, the ones that the public should know, we still issue statements and pass across. But then, saying things are quiet may not be quite right. A lot is going on. A lot.
Foundation, as I said, is being laid properly. Let me give an analogy. No, sorry, sir. Foundations are being laid, as I said, but he has forgotten now that even when now there's a new device in building technology. In those days, we wait for maybe 3 months, 6 months when you deck for you to put on another stone. But nowadays, there are things that you deck today, within the week you can go on.
Let me.
So
it's like you are in a plane. You paid to enter. You paid to fly on that particular plane. And suddenly the plane is in turbulence. And you are shouting. How does that help the situation? The fact that the pilot is not telling you that I'm pressing button A, the next thing I'm pressing button B, does not mean the pilot is sleeping.
But the pilot, no matter how bad it is, will still announce.
No, it will just tell you. What the pilot will tell you.
I like that analogy. Let me tell you what happened. Yesterday,
and your life is
I flew in from Abuja. Before we took off, the pilot told us that the entire country is covered by what he called dangerous blanket of rain. The man next to me said, hey, dangerous. What was the word of the pilot? He said, be ready for a turbulent flight. And was it turbulent? All the way. All the way. The pilot forewarned us, and we knew. Didn't we also know, didn't this administration tell us that a lot of rot was left? There's a lot of rot, and they're being cleared. Like he said, if anybody was shouting in that flight yesterday, it wouldn't amount to anything. The pilot was doing what he had to do, and he had warned us that it was going to be a very bumpy flight, and it was. But he did the right things. and we landed safely.
But you see,
so just as we trusted that pilot to take off,
you said something. The pilot forewarned you, so you were ready for an entire journey of turbulence.
Yes.
But not when